Good evening, and welcome to another episode of The Rude Awakening, episode 45. Um, we continue with the questions that you send me. Again, thank you for sending me questions. Unfortunately, we've only got 2 weeks left, and I've got more questions than I have weekends left. But I mean, keep sending them, and I'll just add them to the collection. And very often, also, many of the questions, although they seem different, they all are pointing towards the same direction, and often the same answers. So, welcome. Again, my point of view. I am a student of A Course in Miracles, but I've also been studying the ancient Eastern philosophies and mysteries for a good 30 years of my life. So, everything I teach takes a non-dual explanation. Let's start right away with the first question tonight. Remember, PG 33, not for sensitive viewers. And if you're offended, you need to practice forgiveness of yourself. Forgive yourself for being easily offended, designing yourself that way. Okay, so question number one. Um, Someone who's just recently left religion and moved into a spiritual path and still quite annoyed and pissed off with religion, as many are when we let go of it. But that too shall pass. And there's just one question here, and that is, why do people who say that they love God also say that they fear Him? Isn't that a contradiction? And that's a very simple answer. Yes, of course, it's a contradiction. But really, when people say they fear God, very often, many of them say it just because they've heard it and they're just regurgitating it because it's the right thing to say. Because how can you fear that which is unconditional love? You can only love God. And again, love isn't something you offering God. You are the love of God. So it's the recognition of your shared being. That's what true love is. That's what the love of God is. And it's you extending and expressing that. But when people say that they fear God, what they're really saying is they fear the misperceived God of the dream, the God that the dreamer has imagined, that we, the dreamer, has imagined. So it's a misperception. So the God of dreams, the dream maker, the dreaming mind, is the God of dreams, small g, God of dreams. It's the dreamer that has imagined the entire universe, all the planets and solar systems and planets with sentient beings and animal forms. That's the dreamer. And of course, when we fell asleep, we couldn't remember self, never mind remember God. And so we imagined something must have created us. And because we destroyed whatever we didn't like as we manifested the explosion of a universe, as we manifested a variety of animal forms and then just made them extinct, we imagined that whatever created us would do the same to us if we didn't appease him, it. And so the dreaming mind imagined a fearful God. And when you look at the God of the Bible, for example, the antiquity, the God of Genesis and the earlier Old Testament Bibles and the books of like the Torah or um, those ancient teachings, you'll see that when they referred to the Elohim or the gods of old, they really are talking about sky people. Um, you know, the meetings with the earlier aliens that inhabited this earth, built the pyramids, the various pyramids around the globe, and seeded and messed around with hominoid DNA until the human monkey was manifested. That's not God. Those are just aliens. You know, don't get too caught up with that. You'll go down a spiral hole and never really get to an answer because we're just learning. Just it's all now coming to surface. There will be disclosure soon, soon. Within, I reckon, 2026, we'll see some serious disclosure of alien beings. Um, so don't go into trying to figure out why some people say they fear God. Just abide self. Don't get caught up with dogma, religion, beliefs. It'll just pull you into a rabbit hole and you'll never make any sense of it. All that happens the minute you go there, your awareness of being, your essence energy, that which you are, externalizes, focuses outwards, and gets captured by thought. Thought in the form of questions. And before you know it, those thoughts become research and you start contemplating, and the mind just keeps you busy with contemplation. You become distant, you become removed, you no longer engage in the world, you want to hide, um, or you start to see purposelessness and meaninglessness in all of it. And before you know it, you're down a rabbit hole, either trying to avoid everything, escape everything, get off the grid, or you'll just become one of those propeller heads that just goes into trying to decipher this, the mysteries and convince other people that trying to figure out who built the pyramids is more important than everyday life. I, for a time period, my younger years, as I delved into the mysteries and went into the ancient teachings, Zachariah Sitchin's work, Michael Tillinger's work, and there's a new channel called The Fifth Kind. There's a lot of that on there now. Of course, there wasn't YouTube back in those days, but it was very quickly, and before you know it, if you look at the Hindu teachings, the tetras, um, all of this has been recorded. The Mesopotamian teachings, the Sumerian tablets, all of that is going to give you an indication, but there's no first-hand direct evidence of alien beings, and everything you see is always flaky, and they shoot the videos over and over again, and they give a whole lot of dialogue, but we're still yet to see plausible. And any day, anyway, today with CGI and AI, you can make anything look real. So be present. I hope that in my life becomes a pointer, someone that used to be really angry, someone that used to be, really disgusted at the world and didn't believe humans could be kind and compassionate. Once I received the Holy Instant, and accepted the Holy Instant for myself, the atonement, my life radically changed. And that's why I hope that my life can become a pointer, whereby through my own demonstration of thought reversal, the awakening of self-realization, um, my fractured selves, my brothers, my audiences can also become familiar, gain a deep familiarity with awareness of being, the awareness of resting in God, what it all really means. We become so familiar, we are so familiar, we're so programmed with the three human states of unreality that we need to rest in God way more often than not. Um, so the three states, birth, life, death, they repeat it throughout waking, dreaming, and deep sleep in our daily lives. So, son of sleep, son of God fell asleep and birthed the universe, poured his essence energy, even though he's asleep, life into the universe. But no matter what he manifests, it all seems to die, birth, life, and death. And so every day we wake up in the morning, we dream of fantasies, and then we go into deep, deep sleep and we remember nothing. In deep sleep, we rest as awareness. There's nothing we can do to change those three states of the character, of the human appearance, of the humanity of appearance. And yet underneath the temporal human states, the three temporal human states, there's an awareness, or else you wouldn't be aware that there's three temporal states. And this awareness of being, this awareness which is all encompassing, which is always there, it's the I amness, is our absolute reality. It's just the awareness of being, where there's no objects, there's no subjects, there's no you and I, there's just awareness. And this awareness is our absolute reality. This is the truth. True. It's the ultimate. And it's gently replacing what dreams can never dream of, what dreams can never imagine. So the more familiar we become with the awareness of being, the more familiar we will become in being awareness, the less resistance we will experience to what dreams try and convince us is indeed true. So the reality of the human monkey is an unreality. It's a dreamscape. It's a dream state. Nothing in the world of dreams can really alter, add to, or change the awareness of being or present moment awareness. Because when you rest as awareness, in and of itself, resting as awareness is complete. You can't add to it, you can't take away from it. It's complete. There's nothing to know in it. But there's the knowing of the self in it. There's the complete clarity of the self in it. Uh, and that's really what I urge you to rather focus on. At the end of the day, when you rest as awareness, it seems to, and through linear time, brings you gradually to what you will experience. Wrong word, but okay, what other word do I use? You'll experience the holy instant, this awakening to self where whatever once made sense makes no sense at all. And what was never accessed before becomes as clear, the clear light of day. There's just an awareness of being, the holy instant. Um, but be aware that nothing magical or mystical happens in the holy instant. It's so gentle. It's just so gentle. It's just a tiniest shift that changes everything in the holy instant. And be aware of this. And it's not an exotic experience. There's no thoughts. So if there's no thoughts, there's no sensations. If there's no sensations, there's no feelings. If there's no feelings, there's no emotions experienced in the holy instant. And as I say, who's the experiencer? So there's no experiencer, so there can be nothing experienced. It's not fantastic, not exotic. It's not a special experience beyond all experiences. All experiences are really just illusionary constructs of dreaming. So, but once we bring forth, invite in the holy instant, we'll never be the same again. And even if you only just got one glimpse of it, for the rest of your life, you would have had a glimpse into eternity, into absolute reality. And the highs and the lows that we once thought we experienced, thought we felt, will just gradually and gently dissolve. A lot of people, once they've had this holy instant, go, but hang a second, I'm not feeling highs and lows anymore. No, you won't, because there's just the peaceful joy of being, the infinite lightness of being, and there's no highs and lows. And the ego will tell you that you missed the highs and lows because it was exciting, it was an adventure. But with every high there comes a low. What goes up must come down. In in the rules of subjective reality. The holy instant is our only reality. And we get a glimpse of that holy reality, that absolute reality, while we seem to dream of nothing. Why? Because the jiva, the character, has willingly let go its will and aligned into God's will. And it's not really, as I said, it's not really an experience because there is no experience, then because there's no experiencer. So when you think you're experiencing dream content at night while you dream, you, the person who sleeps, you're not actually experiencing anything. It's like just watching a movie. And although you buy into the script, you buy into what you're watching on the screen, you seem to be experiencing what the characters are. The only experience you're really experiencing is the witnessing of. You witness to the dream. And once that awareness of being, once you have that single glimpse into the holy instant, the awareness of being, there's just that. You'll recognize there's just that. I am. At best as I am that. And you won't need, if you really delve into it, you actually don't need to explain it, or you don't need words for it. Um, the world just starts to flow past, and you remain unattached to outcomes, stories, scripts, and thoughts no longer capture you like they used to, because you realize you've never had a single thought. And if you've never had a single thought, you've never had a single sensation, a single feeling, a single emotion. But the minute you believe the thoughts are yours, then you're going to believe the feelings, emotions, and sensations are yours. They're not. Once the holy instant is known as the light of eternity, The mistake we often make is we try and control it, we try and capture it, we try and maintain it or extend it. You can't. Just rest in the knowing of it and invite it back in. You can't teach it to anyone. You can't give it to anyone. You can't force anyone on it. You can try and create a cult and force everybody to holy instant and create a ritual and a mantra, but you're just making up stories. You can't show anyone how to experience the holy instant. You'll never be able to truly explain it. I can't. Not properly, not decisively, not with total clarity. At best, you can point towards some explanation, some words, but they'll pale in comparison to the direct, here we go, experience thereof, the knowing thereof. Actually, it's not experience. The holy instant is our only truth. And truth takes care of itself ever so gently, ever so gradually. Yes, some characters appear to Ramana Maharishi delve into the full truth immediately, but that's not true. Because if that was true, he would have disappeared and died the next instant, physically. Physically, the body would have died and the essence energy would have transcended. And so he needed the rest of his lifetime to make sense of it he didn't need to share it, he chose to. No one gets chosen. Remember that. No one gets chosen. God doesn't choose any special ones. We all get to choose God. That's it. And as the truth, the, the awareness of being replaces the unknowing, the belief in the subjective reality of dream, as it replaces all of that, our immortal reality, which cannot be forgotten, which just seems to be forgotten by the veil of belief, the veil of illusion, just returns. And the knowing of self, the knowing of being, the be thyself knowingly, comes with such clarity and conviction that you'll never doubt it. You'll doubt what you see, but you won't doubt the knowing of self. Hope this brings you into a little bit of clarity. Okay, next question is Dear Lumu. This comes from a friend and says, I saw a clip on YouTube about cows in Europe. During winter, they're kept in dark, confined stables. When spring comes and the weather warms, they're released into open pastures full of green grass under the bright blue sky. The minute they step out, you can see their joy. They jump, they bound, make all sorts of noises. There's a palatable sense of freedom. But within an hour, they settle down, lower their heads, and just start grazing, going about their normal routine. Oh, just like a human condition. And is this a metaphor for the human experience? When we move from a state of contraction, belief in dreams, feeling separated or limited, into a sudden awareness of connection or expansiveness, there's a rush, or there seems to be a rush of elation, like cows bounding into the pasture. But just like the cows, the initial thrill often fades. Holy instant seems to fade. And we return to our normal rhythm. We chase that initial high, thinking we lost it. And so she says, if we chase that initial high, thinking that we've lost it, can it become a trap? Can you expand on it? Absolutely. It becomes the chasing, the belief, the seeker seeking, the next high, the next retreat, the next experience. And whether you're being spiritual or not, let me use a natural example. You think that if you buy the house, you're going to be happy, and you work really hard and you eventually buy the house. And the minute you buy the house, you seem to be truly, truly happy. And the ego very quickly tells you it's because you've now achieved the house. And you'll realize that the ego, one achievement leads to desiring the next one. But for a moment, or a little while, you'll seem like you're really happy. You now have the house. But soon the troubles creep back in because no house is perfect. And houses are filled with people, and no people are perfect in the way they behave. So just a matter of time when the shit hits the fan again. But the reason you seemed happy wasn't because you now achieved your goal. It's because you temporarily stopped seeking. And the minute you stop seeking, the awareness of being comes to the surface. Because while you're seeking, you're not aware of being the awareness. You cannot seek, because seeking requires thought, attention, focus. Awareness of being. There is no thought in awareness. There's no focus. It's a softening of. It's a relaxing into. It's a resting in God. And so you're 100% correct. like the cows, once we've had that holy instant or a moment of awareness where the echoes of eternity are reflected back at us, it's tangibly joyous, it's tangibly peaceful, energetically so. Why? Because your essence energy is that joyful peace. And it's only because you've been in darkness and caught up in your dreams for so long that the light seems so bright and so amazing that it seems like it lifts you. But what it lifts you into, you're always actually there. You just seem to come back down from nowhere because there's no going down. It's just the filters of perception, like clouds, float back in and temporarily block out the blue sky screen. And this is why seekers go from one retreat to the next, hoping that the next guru, the next hug, the next profound statement is going to temporarily seize the seeking and the awareness of being comes to the surface. But you don't need to go anywhere. Why would you want to go anywhere when peace of mind is already found, when the awareness of being is already found? The mistake we all do is we have all done it, and we were all going to do it, and let people do it. Don't try and stop them. Is we all chase, we all try and capture it. We chase after it. We seek for it. Don't chase, attract, invite it in, welcome it in. And the only way you can welcome something, you can use whatever words you welcome Holy Spirit, welcome Jesus, welcome God. But while you're resonating in fear, sin, and guilt, while you're resonating in resistance, you're not welcoming anything. The universe, God, Holy Spirit, doesn't believe your words. It knows your essence resonance. It knows how you resonate. So either you're resonating in wrong-minded falsehood or in right-minded truth. And when you're resonating in truth, right-mindedness, Christ-mindedness, you activate the law of acceptance. And that's the law of God. It's part of the immutable laws of God. Law of acceptance, law of correspondence, same word. Okay, versus the ego's law of attraction. Because the ego attracts to gain. Spirit doesn't attract to gain. Spirit shares, and by sharing attracts the acceptance of being. It's thy will be done versus my will be done. And remember, we very often say God's will be done, but what we do is we've already made up our mind, and then we ask God for what we've made up, and we ask God to fulfill our will, hoping that it's His will too. That's the mistake we often do. And so, really, unlike the cows, let's. My suggestion is start with offering gratitude, because when you offer gratitude for being, and even if you're not aware of this beingness I speak of, then just offer gratitude for what you have. And gratitude begets more gratitude. Gratitude brings forth the experience of enthusiasm for limited possibilities, what can be. Remember, we're no longer trying to manifest. We're no longer having dreams and imagining and vision boards and all of that nonsense. Because all that's going to do, you may attract it, but you're attracting objectifications in the hope of finding the happiness. The happiness isn't by acquiring it. The happiness is in the presence once you've acquired it because you stop seeking. So why even try and acquire it? Why not return to that being where that happiness already is your essence energy? So gratitude brings about the feeling of enthusiasm for limitless possibilities that you haven't even imagined. And feeling enthusiasm is a creative force. It's the extension force, enthusiasm. It's a seed of creativity. It's the extension of the joyful life force contained within. It's the very same life force that animates characters, gives light to the screen, gives energy to the screen, the universe, where through its energy, the appearance of thoughts as form come into the universal dream of separation so that we can experience what we are through the experience of what we're not, the neti neti. And so the feeling of enthusiasm must be upheld if you want to maintain a certain level. And this is now into the realm of almost seeking, but not quite because the truth's here. So the feeling of enthusiasm, if you maintain it through gratitude, and that's the only way you'll keep it, because it's already what you have and are, it'll flow through you. And because it's energy in a dualistic dreaming mind, that energy will seem to manifest and experience again the knowing of the awareness of being. This enthusiasm, this life force energy, isn't a reward for being awake to self or self realization or being spiritual. It's not a reward, it's not something you gain, it's something you're offering. It's your gift of gratitude to God for His essence energy, His grace in the dream, the memory of, which isn't really a memory, it's a present moment awareness. So when you offer enthusiasm, when you offer gratitude, which enthusiastically extends through you, you plant creative seeds, seeds of creation, as above, so below, as you pour your enthusiasm into life. Now, again, don't be specific, just offering it. Don't be specific with your objectified desires, people, places, things, and events. Don't focus on objectified fantasies, subjective fantasies, because now you're saying to God, this is what I want. And if I offer gratitude, will you give it to me? You have no idea what's good for you. And think about it. Everything you have in your life, you've manifested, you've wanted it. Now, it may not be great according to you. You may want bigger things and bigger castles and more expensive stuff. Illusions. Stuff is illusions. But you've never known what's good for you. And yet, when you rest as awareness, when the infinite lightness of being flows through you, when the awareness of being is what you are, knowingly, that joyful enthusiasm is there. And that joyful enthusiasm, because you're now fully identified with being, spirit, becomes inspiration. And you'll very quickly know how to pour yourself back in. If you're unsure, but you're at least sure you don't know what you like, then move straight into rules for decision. Rest in God. Offer gratitude. And the minute you offer gratitude, you're lifted. And then you say, this is the day I could have before, instead of the day I was wishing for. And just abide in that. Don't start imagining dragons and fantasies and castles because that'll turn into a nightmare. Be present in that present moment awareness. Feel, because that's the body sensation in the awareness of being, the grace of God flowing through you as that enthusiastic, dynamic fluorescence. It's like a light fluorescence. And offer gratitude for that sort of joyous life force flowing abundantly through you. Because people want abundance, but what is more abundant than the joyous flow of life? When you abide in that sort of it's effervescent energy, that is the awareness of being, that is the lightness of being, that is the joyful being that you've sought your whole life. Where peaceful joy is the experience. And so when you're in doubt, return to presence, return to gratitude, rest in God. Offer gratitude for being aware that this flow of energy is only interrupted by your thoughts and therefore never truly interrupted because your thoughts aren't true. This flow is eternal and always gives you way more, way more than your imagination could ever desire. We think our imaginations are limitless. No, they're not. Our imagination is limited by what we manifest, the universe, space, time, and matter. The universe is space, time, and matter. We can't imagine beyond it. 3 dimensions. That's it. So this enthusiastic life force is yourself. Be that life force knowingly. This is your being willing God's will. Willing God's will be done. This is the alignment. This is the surrender to being, not doing. This is aligning with the essence energy, the creative life spark that you are, the creative power. This is the power and glory of God flowing through you. Even while you seem to dream, even while you seem to dream and seem to be a character in your own dream, because you're still in God. And so this creative power and glory of God is still all around you, still through you. In actual fact, you're in it. You've never left it. You just dream you're somewhere else. Imagine you're sleeping at night and you've left the electric blanket on. Your body's just going to get hotter and hotter and hotter. Why? Because you've never left the bed with the electric blanket on. You're heating up. Eventually, it'll heat up so much you'll wake up. That's what's happening to us. Our mind is lighting up, heating up in the light of awareness. We may think the world's a dreadful place. It's far better than it's ever been. And so when you be yourself knowingly, you'll enthusiastically pour that life flow, that dynamic, effervescent flow of life through yourself, through your being. And not only does it remind you of what you are, you become an example that reminds others what we all are, one indivisible self. And once you remember what you are, you can only initiate and ignite the knowing in others too, because you become a mirror. And through this life, your life becomes a song of prayer. I hope this gives you a bit of clarity on how to spend your day, for example, in this knowing, in this awareness. Don't be like the cows that go back to grazing. Maintain that enthusiasm. Maintain that song of prayer. Maintain that joyous light of awareness as you share it, as you extend it with all your fractured selves. Hope that gives you some clarity. Okay, this is from a Spanish watcher and wrote in Spanish. I just translated. I hope this is close enough. Dear Lugito, okay. How do we remember who we really are? Course in Miracles says that we are the Christ, Son of God. What can I do to remember this? Nothing. You can't do anything. And it's not really a remembering, it's a knowing, but yes, there's words, and words are symbols twice removed. And then she writes, next question, and if we are the dreaming Son of God, as you say, yes, I do, and so does the Course, and we are taught in Course in Miracles that forgiveness ends the dream of separation, then who are we forgiving? We're only forgiving ourselves, for dreaming. And you cannot forcefully remember who you are. There's no technique. It's not like a mind training technique. It's the abiding in silent stillness, the meditation. By abiding in gratitude, the filters dissolve. How long does it take? How long is a piece of string in space time? It depends on how long you chose to be, to pull that string. That's it. It depends on your willingness, total willingness to totally surrender, to no longer live the lie. Um, and once that recognition of self comes, forgiveness sets you free because forgiveness unveils. Forgiveness is like a brush on a canvas that's filled with paint and it's got turpentine on it. And as you wipe it, it just wipes away the colors until it just reveals the white canvas. That's what forgiveness does until it's no longer needed. It's an illusion that dissolves all illusions. And as you get rid of thoughts, attack thoughts, and contemplative thoughts, and judgmental thoughts, of course, all thoughts are judgmental, then the clouds disappear and the blue sky, the screen is left. What's the screen? The awareness of being, the self, the essence energy you all are. And another question, and I'm going to keep answering this one, but I'll bring in another question that was very similar is, please explain I am. And if I understand that I am dreaming, why can I not remember myself and awaken in God? Because yourself isn't an entity that you've forgotten, and God isn't an entity that you've forgotten. Self and God are one indivisible self. It's one essence energy. And it's not in memory as we humans know memory. Memory is always past, present, future. There is no past, present, future in God. And so what we think is memory, we're trying to equate the memory for God as the memory in human beings. The memory for God is a present moment awareness of being. It's the awareness of being. It's the silence between the notes. It's the white canvas without a paint on it. It's just pure awareness, the screen without the movie. Or even while the movie plays, you're still aware of the screen. Remember, what you are is the same as what God is. It's pure essence energy, and it's not in human memory. Okay, so don't try and use memory. Can I remember God through a technique? You can't. There's no technique. You can't meditate, can't pray, can't prana, you can't yoga yourself awake. You abide in silent stillness, and your willingness wills God's will. And God's will is that you return knowingly awake to Himself. Okay. And so awareness of being is the holy instant, is the holy memory, is the Holy Spirit. It is your present moment awareness. In present moment awareness, you are capital M minded by being present of what's always present. When you rest as awareness, the rest energy, the dynamic rest energy, the fluorescence of that energy is your awareness, is your being. And the only way you can do that is you have to overlook the fear of looking within. Because the fear to look within is the fear of never having been a separate body, mind, entity. Our greatest fear, again, I've said this so many times before, is when we die, where do we go? Do we go as an individual, as an entity? And there's other entities, and we get to spend time with our family members, dogs, spouses, friends. No. When you awaken to self, there's no memory of a universe. There's no memory of you and I. There's no memory of a Jesus, of a universe, of a planet Earth, of stories. There's just the awareness. And that's so when you return to awareness, you've returned to eternity. Awareness of being, resting in awareness, resting in God, resting as awareness, present moment awareness. These are all terms twice removed at best, pointing inwards to that which you need to know for yourself. And so it brings you to that I amness. It shows you very quickly that the world is an effect of a tiny mad idea, an idea which we called sin, guilt, fear, past, present, future, filled with nonsense. So we often speak of the now. If the now is filled, if the presence is filled with memory, stories, it's not pure. The now is without thought, without sensation, without anxiety, without guilt. The world is not the cause of your suffering. It's the effect of dreaming. It's the effect of believing in sin. The I am is neither effect nor cause. It's the extension of causation. The I am is the extension of God. God is cause. The I am is the sun extending. It needs no effort. I am needs no effort. To be aware of being, there's no attention required. The awareness requires no tension, no attention. You don't need to do anything. It's doing that takes you away from, it's thinking that takes you away from awareness. It's the search for, the experience of. It takes you away from the awareness. The sense I am isn't a practice. It's your original knowing. It's the origins of knowing. It's the very essence of what you are before thought creeps in and divides present moment awareness into what appears like space-time. When you abide there, remain with that, time ceases to exist. We're not just talking about saying things like I am or I am God. It's not about words. There's a clarity to it when it's totally silent. It's not a mantra. It's not an idea. It's not a concept. It's not a religion. It's not a position. At best, it's a sense awareness without sensations, although it will permeate through the body and then feel like something. There's an immediacy about it which is everlasting. It's a knowing I am. It's pure primordial awareness. It's before the universe, before any body mind, before mind dreamt of nothing. It's before we took form and started to identify with ideas, thoughts, concepts. No focus, no concentration required for being I am. There's a sinking in, there's a relaxation. It's a relaxing into, it's a sinking in. It's effortlessly present. The great teachers like Jesus lived it. Ramana Maharishi, the Buddhas. And so we're told. In my own teaching, Maslow, he called it self-actualization, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's not an attention that moves outwards to objects. There's no you, them. There's no separation from. There's no tension. No tension required. Intention creates tension. Attention propagates more tension. It's an inward resting. It's awareness itself, being awareness itself. Abide as that as often as you can. And so often becomes seamless. And before you know it, you're there. With hand on heart, I can tell you I've spent the whole day there today. There, where? Here. There needs to be one who bears attention for illusions to appear. Even the witness is still witnessing. The decision maker is still deciding. Eventually, there's no decision. There's nothing to witness. There's just being. Your essential nature is not separate from being. Being is not separate from your essential nature. It's the one and the same. When your seeking ceases, being alone is. You don't need to see anything. There's no visualization. There's no control. And even though there's a happening, an appearance of a happening, you just notice. There's no effort required. There's no judgment. There's no thought about anything. It's just the silent being, the silent stillness of being, the silence of being aware that you are the awareness itself, in which everything appears and disappears until there's no more need for appearances and disappearances. The aloneness brings about an all oneness, and the all oneness brings the all oneness alone. It's the only thing that brings it, because it's already here, and it's an undoing, it's an unveiling. This is true liberation. Liberated from what? You're only liberated from illusions, liberated from dreaming. Being is always there. Being is what you are. It sounds lofty. It sounds heavenly, but the word lofty comes from the word heaven. That's why we call it a room on top, a loft. Lofty, up there somewhere, a heaven up there. Heaven and hell, concepts taught by the ancients. Words will fail you. You won't be able to describe it. You'll start to sound very spiritual, but it's not. It's grounded in being, more solid than anything physical, more real than anything you've tasted, touched, seen, smelt, felt, experienced, more real than any of that. Once known, it can never be unknown. Once felt, it could never be unfelt. Not that you feel anything, but in the body mind experience, it's felt, it's sensed, it's known. But knowing is beyond feeling and sensation. It's beyond thought. It cannot be contemplated upon. Can't be grasped, can't hold on to it. Can't try and make sense of it, can't dissect it. The minute you poke it, it's gone. The minute you try and touch it, it's gone. Lighter than a feather above the battlefield. Words. Anyway, hope that brings clarity. Okay, next question. Dear Lou, if I, a temporal projection of our dreaming mind, awakens to reality, do I still incarnate again? And if so, as what? Now, thank you. Thank you for the question. I see where you're going, but it's a preloaded question because I, a temporal projection of our dreaming mind, awakens to reality. No, the awakening to reality isn't the character. It's not the I, little I. Because a minute, if you had said, if I awakens as I collective, sure. But if I, a temporal projection, you've mistaken I. It's the I, caramba. Big I, little I. The dialogue between little self and Christ mind itself. If the little I hasn't awoken itself, I is a thought and form. It goes back into the collective ooze of the dreaming mind. We call that secret dream, first dream, spirit world, where it just like a whirlpool gets regurgitated and then gets reprojected. It appears to have multiple lifetimes and experiences, but it's a false thought. We're not going to give that any attention. Once a thought is truly forgiven, the thought is forgotten. If you've truly forgiven something, it's forgotten. Anyone that says, I've forgiven, but I haven't forgotten, you haven't truly forgiven. Because to truly forgive is to truly forget. It won't trigger you. You won't come back into your awareness, won't come back into your human consciousness. Even if you've learned from it, it won't trigger you. So it's forgotten as a trigger. And so once a thought in form, because you're simply an idea of the dreaming mind that appears to have taken form, once it's fully forgiven, once it's aware of self, which means fully forgiven, and its appearance, its temporal appearance dies, that essence energy, which is now awake to itself, the light of awareness, returns to right-minded light of awareness. It doesn't return to dream content. That's why there's no Jesus body in the dream world, in the spirit world, because the essence energy of the man who awoke to Christhood dissolved and returned to right-mindedness. The character Jesus still appears in memory, but what's in memory? Dreaming mind, where there's a past, present, and future. And so anyone that says they speak to Jesus or encountered Jesus or see or saw Jesus in the spirit world is because they're still in dreaming mind memory, in recall, in awakening to self. When that thought is fully forgiven and fully dissolved, it disappears from projected dream, from secret dream, completely disappears. Why? Because it's lit by the light of awareness of right-mindedness. And as more and more fractured parts of our dreaming thought form self awake to the light of awareness, so there's less and less thoughts in the dreaming mind as the awake mind expands and the dreaming mind contracts, dissolves, and the dreamer, we, the Holy Son of God, wakes up. Now you may say, but hang a second, there appears to be more and more people on this planet. There's 9 septillion of us throughout the universe, or there were at the inception. There's a lot less of us now. And so there's less places for thoughts to project into. Universe is a dynamic destruction field. Billions of planets are wiped away daily. Billions of suns are wiped away daily, suns. And so if a sun is wiped out, planets get and species get wiped out daily, billions. Why? Because there's no need for species, thoughts and forms while the mind awakens to itself. So the character that dies disappears from your dream. And so that thought you once had about yourself, which you projected into form, once that thought is forgiven, that thought in form no longer projects, no longer incarnates. But while you, a thought in form, are afraid of losing your identity, still attached to spaces, places, people, events, when that physicality of you dies, seems to die, nothing dies, that essence energy returns to first dream, re-energizes, regurgitates, projects straight back down in dream state. It may appear to be factual in the illusion, but a fact in the illusion is still an illusion and therefore not real, never was. Let's not focus on spirit world and reincarnation. Let's return to bypassing the whole damn secret dream, return to right-minded awareness. I hope that brings clarity. And focus on what happens to you, what your body dies and doesn't die. And don't be so preoccupied with next incarnation and am I going to transcend? Be present here now. And transcendence isn't in the future. Heaven's not in the future. It's here now. Be present here now, without thought, without judgment, without evaluation. You see, we can catch wrong-minded judgment very quickly. We never catch the wrong-minded evaluation, contemplation, thought, masturbation. You impregnate yourself with countless hours of regurgitated masturbation over nothing, nonsense, ideas, concepts, beliefs. Go down the rabbit hole of who created the pyramids and who were the ancient aliens and blah, 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 blah. What's that going to help you? How's that going to bring you joy into being? How's that going to help you allow the abundant flow of energy become the abundance of the life you flow? Let's not regurgitate history by contemplating it. Let's not go into the antiquities and the mysteries and the esoterics and the nonsense. It hasn't made this world a happier place. Return to being. Be thyself knowingly, without thought, without judgment, without evaluation. It becomes a rabbit hole. Trust me, I spent a good 20 years of my life to eventually drop it, and then you then spend the next 20 really delving into the direct experience, the knowing of being. All of this flows into the next question. And I'm not going to go into the total detail, and I've summarized it somewhat, but just in summary, dear Lou, I found your YouTube channel after retiring from a high pressure job as an attorney. It hit me hard that so when she came to this realization that we awakened to self, I don't remember my family, what I've just spoken about, children, parents, life. There won't be a me and my dog. And so to her, through this process, everything became meaningless. And as you can imagine, when it becomes meaningless, the ego is losing grasp on reality. It's losing its identity. And what's the consequence of ego losing its identity? Anxiety. So the anxiety went through the roof. Physical distress, unbearable lightness of being. It's the dark night of the soul. It's the fifth stage in the development of trust. But inevitably, when you surrender to it, when you truly willingly let go, there's a holy instant. And she had this incredible glimpse, this holy instant, echoes of eternity. And so she says, since my first holy instant, I stopped feeling any strong emotions. Absolutely. Of course. I feel flat. Now she's in resistance. No highs, no lows. So ego saying, please bring back the emotions. Do you really want the lows? Well, then give up the highs. Becomes flatline. In situations where previously I would have been overwhelmed with emotions and tears, nothing happens. Do you miss being overwhelmed? Do you miss the boo-hoo? Do you miss the tears? Do you miss the anger? It's only your ego trying to creep back in. I understand what's going on around me, but I don't feel emotions because you understand at a deeper level, there's the awareness of being. And so what's going on around me is just what is, and you're no longer in resistance to it. And if you're not in resistance to it, there's no emotions. Well done, my sister. My heart does not ache anymore. Of course not, because the illusionary heart aches. And what we call heartbreak and heartache is the illusionary identity with what love should be, special love. And that special love heart breaks. Your true heart, your being, cannot break. But what's broken is your construct, your identity, your illusionary construct of who you were, a higher powered, high pressure job attorney. And so who were you without that identity? Besides mother, daughter, sister, family, dog owner, these were identities. And now that identity cracked open and light awareness came pouring out. And because you were willing to let it go, because it couldn't have been that joyous, you were willing to let it go, that crack just opened up. And so you say, yeah, the best way to describe it is if something inside me broke, though maybe not in a bad way, in a glorious way. It cracked the shell. It cracked the identity. It cracked the illusion completely. And so she says, I figure my episode of anxiety and my current inability to cry, feel strong emotions, have to be related simply because of their relationship in time. But heck, if I know. Of course, you don't know. And that's it. You also don't need to know. All that's happening is the old identity saying, woo, you've left me behind. No, you haven't left me behind. You were never real. You don't go back and fetch that dark passenger. It was never real. So you're asking me my perspective in appreciation. Thank you for the appreciation. So you're 100% correct. Your ego is broken. But be aware that your ego wants the ego, not your ego. You don't have an ego. The ego wants to pull you back into participating in the ego story. You've let it go. So, no, there won't be emotions. Sorry to say. There won't be highs, there won't be lows. There'll be just a calmness. It's like the waves crashing against the ocean, and all of a sudden the wind dies down, and the ocean is clear, and you can see the floor of the sea, and you can see the fishes, and it's just beautiful, like a holiday destination. You can see your own reflection, the awareness of being, because there's no more thoughts, there's no more resistance. There's just what is. You're no longer attached. You're also not detached, because you can't detach from your dream. You embrace it all. You're non-attached to the outcome. The script is written. Always remember this. Thought, perception, when you fell asleep, you perceived nothing. And so thought came in. And so thoughts precede sensations. Sensations precede feelings. Feelings precede emotions. The minute you're feeling emotions, you're so far down the rabbit hole, you have no idea even what you thought about. And then those emotions make you feel and think more. Before you know it, you so far down the rabbit hole, there's no more Alice, not even rabbits. So if you don't think about whatever appears or doesn't appear, and if you don't think about it, it doesn't resist. You can't resist it. And if you don't resist it, there's no emotions, there's no feelings, no sensations, because there are no thoughts behind it judging what appears. And there's no thoughts judging it, there's no emotions, there's no feelings. And you go, but this is just like pale blue baby bathwater. Yeah, as opposed to a whirlwind of a tornado in the ocean. Gentle awareness, the lightness of being, light. So be aware this is your ego saying, you're missing out. Look at the rest of the world. They're having such excitement, romantic, special love, joy, up, down, adventure. You go, what did adventure ever bring you? And remember, there's always going to be an unfulfilled fantasy in the back of your mind, always around special love or some special relationship, an adventure, a honeymoon, shh, no thanks. Investigate. What's the source of it? It's the source of fear, the source of dying and no longer being an individual identity. It's reabsorbing the entire collective into your one dreaming mind, your one beingness, your Christ mind, where no memory of ever having existed in form, in space and time will ever be. There'll only be the joyous present moment awareness, which is always here, which is God. Hope this clarifies it. I try to make it as simple as possible. Okay, next question. My thoughts, feelings, and emotions are so violent and strong, no therapy or medication or anything could change that. Well, it could. You could drug yourself into a standstill, take Epilim 500, and before you know it, you don't feel anything. And you don't want anything either. You don't even want to get up in the morning. But that's not therapy. Yes, it is a thought that is not real. So you're aware thoughts aren't real. A story I made up, so you're aware you're storytelling. But it's also a possibility that the future may hold some terrifying things. So now that you're becoming aware that you're becoming aware, you're still trapped in space time. You're still trapped in past, present, future, sin, guilt, fear. And it's because things happened in the past, you're still experiencing it now energetically, and therefore you're still projecting the fear of it in the future. Return to present moment awareness. When the thoughts come, no thanks. Investigate the origin of the thoughts. You won't find an origin. Investigate to whom they appear. Well, if there's no origin, they're not appearing to anyone. They're in your consciousness, not in your awareness, because in your awareness, there's no thought. The subconscious belief in sin, guilt, and fear all started as a thought of, I did something wrong, and the God of dreams is going to punish me or destroy me for it. And that leads us to believing I need a proof to God, God of dreams, actually, because God doesn't need any proof from you, doesn't even know you're where you the content of our dream. So you need to prove to God that you're innocent, whilst others are guilty, and they made you the thing that you are. They made you sin. They made you feel guilty. You now become a victim. And and you're a victim of what you see and the experiences of it. And other people have attacked you. And you didn't realize, even though you did nothing wrong, even though people attacked you, you created those attacks to bring you to this point to make you realize that your fanciful dream of illusions isn't a fantasy, it's a nightmare. It's a total fucking nightmare of biblical distortions. And it's only done that way. You did it this way to keep you preoccupied because that overwhelming sin idea, that idea of sin, which makes you feel so guilty as a dreamer that you can only be preoccupied with fear. And so you're so fearful as the dreamer, not as the character, that you've projected 1,000 billion forms out there, which then play out your dream of separation, sin, fear, guilt. But you, as a character, need to recognize you're not this character. Get back to the dream state. I am the dreamer. I am dreaming, but dreaming isn't real. But my awake self is. Let me return to that awake self. Let me not try and understand the dynamics of dreaming, the makeup of why I chose to dream, why I chose to feel sin, fear, guilt. Let me not even bother with that. Let me return to the awareness of being, the lightness of being. Remember, sin means past. It means you're still trapped in time. Guilt is what you project into the future, into the present. It's into the consciousness of being, where no awareness is present because it's clouded by perceptual filters filled with guilt. And then, of course, that guilt and is overwhelming about being punished in some way, horrific punishment in the future, which is going to play out in a myriad of different ways for people in this world. To some, it may be I'll never get the car I want, or the husband I want, or the kid I want, or the house or the job I want. To others, it could be physical, brutal attacks that they're imagining. And it's always in the future. If you find yourself overwhelmed by thoughts, sensations, feelings, emotions, guilt, fear, know that you're choosing with the wrong mind. You're choosing to see through the egoic filters of illusion. Stop. Bring yourself into present moment awareness. Return immediately to silent stillness. And immediately start offering gratitude. For what? For whatever. For what you have, for what you received. And if it wants to tempt you into attack thoughts again, no thanks. Get behind me, Satan. Get behind me, ego. Move into rules of decision. Gratitude. I could feel peace instead of this. I do not know the thing I am. Holy Spirit, show me another way to see this. But now don't imagine what it should be and ask the Holy Spirit to show you that. Go into total stillness, blank screen, and just move into gratitude. And with practice, the essence energy becomes palatable, real for you. The real self emerges, reminded of its eternity. But let me bring through an even deeper, even better explanation, which comes straight from our right mind, Christ mind, Course in Miracles mind, miracle mindedness. Those of you that have a course with you, course book with you, Course in Miracles, chapter 31.6. It's either recognizing the spirit or believing in bodies. And so it says this. When you see you either see the flesh or recognize the spirit, and not just in others, in yourself. You either think you're a body filled with thoughts of fear and sin and guilt, or you recognize you're the present moment awareness, pure essence energy, spirit. There is no compromise between the two. If one is real, the other one must be false. And what is real denies its opposite. There is no choice in vision but this one, either the knowing of or the believing in. What you decide in this moment determines all you see. And think is real and hold is true. On this one choice does all your will depend. Because if you believe in sin, fear, guilt, you will project it outwards and you will fear it. And you will then experience it as reality for you. But if you abide as spirit and gratitude and the awareness of being, your life becomes more of this present moment awareness. And your experience expression becomes joyful. Don't take my word for it, but perhaps you should, because I could never have imagined my life would be this peaceful. So, on this one choice, if you choose flesh, you will never escape the body as your own reality. If you're still trying to get attraction, you're still trying to get attention, you're still trying to get acknowledgement as a person, as a body, as a son, as a daughter, as a whatever, you believe you're a body. And you may gain it for a little while, but it's going to punish you. Whatever you got's going to be turned on you. So if you choose flesh, you will never escape the body as your own reality. For you have chosen that you want it so. And that's what we all want. We want bodies, but we want to remain spiritual and connected to God. God cannot know you while you are a body, because God only extends spirit. And until you knowingly return to being that, you won't know that you still have never left God. But choose the spirit and all of heaven, present moment. Heaven is present moment, awareness. Bends to touch your eyes and bless your holy sight, that you may see the world of flesh no more. You don't return to the dream world. You don't return to spirit world. You return to the light of awareness, awake mind. That you may return to see the world of flesh no more, except to heal and comfort and bless. So while you remain with this light awareness, you become the teacher for God. Salvation is undoing if you choose to see the body. Remember, the body are just body, thought in form. Bodies are just thoughts, thoughts of vengeance until given the device to Holy Spirit. And then it becomes a song of prayer. So if you choose to see the body, you behold a world of separation, unrelated things and happenings, activities that make no sense at all. This one appears and disappears in death, and that one is doomed to suffering and loss. And no one is exactly as he was an instant previously, nor are you, or the appearance of you, nor will he be the same as he is now an instant hence. Who would have trust where so much change is seen? Who could not fear a future when constant change and based on a horrific past, it's inevitable it's going to come back? For who is worthy if he be but dust? Salvation is the undoing in all these beliefs, past, present, future beliefs. For constancy arises in the sight of those whose eye salvation has released from looking at the cost of keeping guilt, because they choose to let it go instead. Remember, every emotion, sensation, feeling you have is just guilt playing out. Because all thoughts are thoughts of guilt, thoughts that appear in the dreaming mind. The only true thought you have is the unconditional thought of love you have with God, but you can't remember self, so you can't remember God, so you can't remember that unconditional thought you share with God. But you can remember it, you can be reminded, capital M mind, reminded by the voice of God, the Holy Spirit, the awareness of being. Salvation does not ask that you behold the Spirit and perceive the body not. Can't expect you to now start seeing spirits. I'm not asking you to be esoteric. It merely asks that this should be your choice. I choose to see the essence of my brothers as opposed to the illusion of them. For you can see the body without help, but do not understand how to behold a world apart from it. Why? It is your world beliefs. It is your world salvation will undo. So salvation will undo beliefs and let you see another world, a new way of seeing temporarily until this whole thing dissolves. And let you see another world that eyes could never find while you were trapped in the belief you were a body. Be not concerned how this could ever be. It's not for you to bring you out of dream. It's your willingness to be brought out of it. Holy Spirit does the work. Your true self, your holy self, your shared self with God. You do not understand how what you see arose to meet your sight. Why? Because you projected it out and now you appear to see, but you don't actually see. God is the light with which you see. For if it did, it would be gone. The whole world would dissolve if you recognize the light of awareness is the light with which you appear to see. The veil of ignorance is drawn across the evil and the good and must be passed, that both may disappear. You see, we want to hang on to the good and get rid of the evil. They're both illusions. There's only awareness. So that perception finds no hiding place. How is this done? The question of all spiritual people. It isn't done at all. What could there be within the universe that God created that must still be done? And we're now not talking about the universe, God of the universe, the dreaming mind universe. God's true universe is the essence energy of God. It's the likeness of being. It is heaven. The universe that God created is heaven, not the physical realm, not the physical universe. And people that argue that, it's because they still want to believe in physicality. And they want to shoe on old Christianity into God created the universe and on the seventh day he rested. And nonsense like that, and hovered over the oceans and water and Adam and Eve and a whole lot of bullshit. Storytelling makes Santa Claus seem more plausible. Okay. Only in arrogance could you conceive that you must make way to heaven plane. You can't make your way to heaven plane. You can't find the right path. You can't meditate yoga. Yoga is not spiritual. Meditation is not spiritual. There's no mantras aren't spiritual. Going to the mountain to the east, to the ashram to meet the guru isn't spiritual. The whole thing's bullshit. Storytelling. The means are given you here now by Lu Ji Pu and A Course in Miracles and many other Course teachers and Jesus 2,000 years ago. Forgive. I seek forgiveness, not sacrifice. The means are given you by which to see the world that will replace the one you made. A forgiven world, not an unforgiven world. A world of shared being, a world of shared knowing, a world of sharing love, extending love. Your will be done in heaven as on earth. And next week, I'm doing the Lord's Prayer in a non-dual way. So dial in next week. Bring your prayer books. Okay. Your will be done in heaven as in on earth. This is forever true. Why? Because you've never left heaven. It matters not where you believe you are, nor what you think the truth about yourself must really be. A person with a spirit, with an energy or a soul, and reincarnate and nonsense. Storytelling. It makes no difference what you look upon, nor what you choose to feel or think or wish, because they're not real. Emotions are not real. Sensations are not real. Thoughts aren't real. For God himself has said, your will be done. And what is your true will? What is it we all seek? The eternal lightness of being, the perpetual joyful peace we all want, true joyous being. And that's no different to God's will, because God wills that his son be joyful, peaceful, eternal. You just think you will other stuff in order to have the joyous peace. It's because you've been clouded by belief, fooled by dogma. You have no need for those things. Yet when you are that, seek ye first the kingdom. When you be yourself knowingly, when you are the kingdom knowingly, the kingdom in which God abides, all else shall be given you. And while you still temporarily appear to appear in a world of dreams, you'll have more than enough. For God himself has said, your will be done. And it is done to you accordingly by your capital S self. You who believe that you can choose to see the Son of God as you would have him be, separate, in fear of the future. Forget not that no concept of yourself will stand against the truth of what you are. No more fearful thoughts. Watch the joyful lightness being extended. Hang on to your fearful thoughts. Watch the shit happens. Undoing truth would be impossible, but concepts are not difficult to change. One vision clearly seen that does not fit the picture as it was perceived before will change the world for your eyes that learn to see because the concept of the self has changed. So I urge you, please practice this. Abide, offer gratitude. Fear comes, abide, offer gratitude. Fear comes, abide, offer gratitude. Forgive yourself for these moments of beating yourself up. And give gratitude that you can now see it. And as you start to resonate in that joyous lightness of gratitude, Gratitude begets enthusiasm. Enthusiasm gets poured in, and the world responds. Because the world, the universe is you. So when you resonate this, the resonance comes back because it's one indivisible self. Are you invulnerable? Then the world is harmless in your sight. Put it to the test. Do you forgive? Then the world is forgiving, for you have forgiven its trespasses. And so it looks on you with the eyes that see as yours. You may think, hang a second, this person's still attacking me all the time, but I've forgiven them. But were you perhaps rude 10 minutes ago to the waiter, at the traffic light, to the animal, to the granny, to the grandfather, that you had no patience for? And you do not realize that every action begets every activity. It's easier to say, I've forgiven them. Have you forgiven self? Or are you some person that still needs to be forgiven by others? Yes, there are no others. Don't get all esoteric on me. But have you done some deeds that need to be forgiven by others because you've created the hurt? Practice forgiveness and bring that apology, bring that, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, into your daily practice. Ho'oponopono. Does it mean you've got to go and apologize to them? No. But when you bring Christ into the equation, where two are gathered in my name, there I shall be also. Are you a body? So is all the world perceived as treacherous and out to kill, a vengeful, fearful future? Are you a spirit, deathless, without the promise of corruption and the stain of sin upon you? So the world is seen as stable, fully worthy of your trust, a place to rest in for a while, where there is nothing need be feared, but only loved. Why? Because it's all you calling for love. Who is unwelcome to the kind in heart? And what could hurt the truly innocent? Your will be done, you holy child of God. It does not matter if you think you are in earth or heaven. What your Father wills of you can never change. And He's willed you to return to Him knowingly. And the dream's already over. You just haven't forgiven yourself for dreaming, but you've never left the kingdom. Yourself knows God. Yourself can never forget God. Yourself is the extension, the shared self with God. The truth then remains as radiant as a star, light of awareness, pure as light, as innocent as love itself. And you are worthy that your will be done. And what is your will? That you be yourself knowingly. What's yourself knowingly? The eternal light of awareness, present moment awareness, extended in eternity, forever, the joyful, peaceful, unconditionally loving energy of God. Be that knowingly. Abide as often as you can. And watch your life change in ways you could never have imagined. I certainly didn't. I had a very different life I planned out, strategized out, like an architect and a strategist combined. Man, was I mistaken. Could never have imagined this. So grateful for the people along the way that came, seemed to hurt me. I must have hurt them too, in some way or another. And now here is the awareness of being. This is such a joyful way for me to express the love of God I have for myself and selves, one indivisible self. It's free. I offer it all. Why? Because the love I am recognizes the love you are. Love is the absence of a you and an I. Love is the spaceless place where neither bodies exist, but the awareness of being is always present. Love is the essence energy, which is God. Love is the essence energy, which is our true self, extending God's self. This is the way. This is the only way. And the only way is unique to each and every single one of us. The truth is the same. What's true in all of us is true for all of us. What's different and unique in all of us is not true for any of us. The light of awareness has never left. It's clouded by thought, intentions, ideas, concepts, and all of them have some form of judgment. of resistance to what is. What could possibly be wrong if you're not thinking about it? Where does the world disappear when you go into deep sleep? Where are you when you're in deep, deep sleep? No memory. Beta, alpha, theta, delta. Delta sleep. Being is still there. You still wake up in the morning. You repeat it daily. Birth, death, over and over again. Birth, dreaming, death. Birth, life, death. Stop dreaming. Be the awakening principle. Be the light of awareness. Be that knowingly. In gratitude, thanks for joining me. See you next week. Next week, we do the Lord's Prayer in a total, radical. You've never heard this one before. I certainly haven't, as it came through about a month ago. In a total non-dual way, in the way it should have been shared. Thank you. Be blessed. Have a fantastic week. Don't forget to send Santa your wish list. Some of you still haven't sent it to him, and he asked me to remind you.